which everybody knows Eeyore is just simply a depressed Optimus Prime, right?
Yes, it is.
Basically.
Oh my.
All right, Megatron. You can take over the world.
Nothing ever happens to me. It's all my fault.
If only I could find the Allspark.
Here we go. Transformers, if you want. Transform.
Autobots, roll out.
But they probably won't.
And scene!
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Chris Hardwick. Welcome to the Nerdist Podcast. No, just kidding. I'm Ian, and we all know why we're here. No introduction needed. Please give a warm applause for Mr. Peter Cullen.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It is, without a doubt, so honest to say this, so great to be back on Canadian soil, to be with wonderful Canadians. Bonjour. Comment ça va? Bon. Après ça, let's begin.
All right. So the way this is going to work is what happened is we asked you through our various websites, social media channels, everything like that, for some questions to be submitted. We've actually selected a few questions, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask if the person who submitted the question is here. Then you're going to be permitted to actually ask your question. We're going to bring you the sheet, and we're just going to, there are certain ones that are highlighted. Please answer, or please ask the highlighted question. So first of all, is there a Jonathan Boetto here? All right, here we go.
Come on down.
Okay. Hey, sir. Thanks
How
for
you
coming.
doing?
Pretty good. My question, Optimus Prime has become a role model for leadership like few other characters in pop culture. Do you feel a responsibility to maintain that model? And have there ever been instances throughout any of the TV shows or movies where you felt the need to alter the script in order to do so?
Very good question. And yes, I do. I feel a great responsibility to Optimus Prime. He was well conceived, brilliantly written, and I owe a lot. My entire future back in 1984 was based on a character called Optimus Prime. Bud Budiansky is probably one of the unsung heroes in Transformers. Not too many people realize that Bud is the genius behind the conception, part of that. And he created a character that had so many qualities that over a period of time, I could begin to feel the necessity for being true to those ideals. And I still feel that way today. I've been challenged, not during the animated portion of my career with Prime, but more in the feature film. And I had one major battle, and that was the use of a line that I thought was completely out of character. And I don't even want to say the line, but it had nothing to do with the military or anything like that. It was just the idea of modern day violence seeping its way into, the colloquial, everyday usage of violence, and it was so out of character. But nonetheless, I was told to say it, so I expressed my disdain and my reluctance to say the line, but I've never had to do that again. So I won.
All right, next up we have a question from Dylan G. So Dylan, if you want to make your way on up here.
It's Ninjatron.
Hello.
Hello.
So Transformers is full of spaceships and lasers and all kinds of science fiction type stuff. Did you have any knowledge or interest in that kind of material before becoming involved in Transformers? And how does your experience as an actor help you to work with some of these outer worldly concepts that normal humans might have a hard time with?
Wow. Well, okay. Back in 1969, when man landed on the moon, I was in Montreal, and I was watching it on television. And I was amazed. I was really amazed. I couldn't believe my eyes. Man going to the moon, oh my. I developed such a love for NASA and anything related to space back in those days. And it continued on, and by the good fortune of Optimus Prime, Transformers, that led me to NASA itself and Goddard Space Flight Center, where I just returned from. I was in Washington for that, for the Optimus Prime spin-off awards. And well, it's very exciting. You ought to look into it. I do a lot of work with Goddard, but I tell you, and with NASA, and to see these young kids, from 5 to 7 years old, coming up with videos that show the innovations that have come out of the NASA program for man, but originally conceived for the protection and safety of mankind going into outer space. Thousands of inventions that we take for granted every day. So to be a part of that spin-off award got me close to astronauts and to rocket launches down in Florida, and I'm a spoiled little brat.
All right, so next up we have a question from Michael Passer. Is there a Michael Passer here? Okay, I'm going to just go ahead and read his question if he's not here. Okay, my 10-year-old son has a few questions in hopes to submit, one for Mr. Cullen. And the one we've selected is, how did you come up with the original voice for Optimus Prime?
It's a story that I've told many times, and maybe some of you have heard it, but it's a story very dear to me, and it's the truth. It happened. My brother Larry, a captain in the Marine Corps, had returned from Vietnam. He was a decorated Marine, and the Bronze Star with V and a couple of Purple Hearts. And we were sharing an apartment, going through a difficult time in my life, when Larry came down, and it was about 1984, and we were, as I said, living in an apartment together. And he would always take a little interest in where I was going every day, because I was a grunt, as the Marines would say. If you're a ground trooper, you're a grunt. Anyway, Larry's 13 months older, 5 inches taller. And, but we're 13 months apart. We were very, very close. So he said, "Peter, where are you going today?" I said, Well, what, you need the car? He said, no, I just want to know where you're going. I said, I'm going to audition. I'm going to be, I'm auditioning as a truck. And he said, he did the same thing. And so I said, but Larry, he's evidently he's a hero truck. He's a hero. And his face got somber, and he said, Peter, if you're going to be a hero, be a real hero. Don't be a Hollywood hero type with all the BS and all the yelling and screaming and trying to be tough. Be strong enough to be gentle. Okay, Larry, yeah. So as his voice is ringing in my ears as I'm driving to the audition, and I read the copy, and Larry is just coming out. His voice, the way he talked to me, and it said, you know,
I'm Optimus Prime.
no, it was, my name is Optimus Prime. And the softness in his advisory tone was significant, and so the words just rolled off my tongue. I'm from the planet Cybertron, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I kind of finished it and said, okay, thank you very much, Peter. Okay, so, okay. Yeah. So, well, I walked out and getting into the car, and I said, I wish Larry had been here. I think he would have been proud of me because I think I nailed it. I really think I've nailed the character because it was just Larry. And 2 weeks later, my agent called me up and said, oh, Peter, remember that Transformers thing, the truck? And he said, yeah. He said, you got the part of Optimus Prime. I said, I do? He says, yeah, and you also have another part called Ironhide? What's this Ironhide? So that was the beginning. That was the launch. Did that answer the question, do you think?
I think it answered the question. Can you do a little Ironhide?
Ah, gee whiz, Prime.
Calm down, Ironhide.
I just want to kick some butt, Prime.
Not now. Not now, Ironhide. Later. Much later.
All right, the next question is from Goober.
Oh, jeez. What?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Goober?
First quality, boy, can you agree to that one?
Would you like a glass of water? Okay, sure thing.
Goober, behave.
Pace yourself, babe.
I'll be good.
Hi.
Hi, Peter. How you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Awesome. Okay. My question for you is, how did you feel about the decision to kill off Optimus Prime in the 1986 Transformers animated movie? Were you quite attached to the character at that time? And were you involved in the decision, I guess part two, were you involved in the decision to resurrect the character in season 3 and 4?
The latter part of the question, no, I had nothing to do with the decision to bring Prime back. Let's go to the front of the story, though. What was the front of the story?
How did you feel about the decision to kill off Optimus Prime in the animated movie? How did you feel about that?
I hated it. I really did. You know, it was really something that I was counting on. You know, I was getting my life back together, and you know, I did them for 2 years, and in that 2 years, I had so much fun. I mean, we're all lined up in a studio, all the characters from G1. You know, we all worked together. We got to know each other pretty well, and we always had fun. It was always a creative moment, always creative input, and then when the tape was rolling and there was quiet, it was very serious, and everybody paid attention to what everybody did, and they all enjoyed each other's work. And sometimes you couldn't contain yourself. If some guy was being funny in a line, you'd really blow the take by laughing out loud. I'm sorry. All right, we'll do that take over again, Pete. All right. Sorry. Anyway, I was standing with Frank Welker, and we were reading our lines, and I got to page, 17, and I said, "Hey, Frank, I'm getting whacked on page 17. Wait a minute. I'm not coming back." Oh, there go the car payments. So, but then the movie opened, and let me go back a little bit. When I said, okay, we've got Orson Welles here, we've got all these great actors and all this stuff, and I said, if I'm going to die, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be the best acting dying guy in the world, I said, if I'm going out, I'm going to go out big. So I just, as a studied actor, knowing that less is more, and having seen some pretty terrible death scenes in my career, I just did it, and he says, that's my swan song, and I'm out of here. And then, of course, the movie, as I learned many years later, that the movie was not a success, and kids were leaving the theater and hiding in their closets, I heard, under their beds, wouldn't come out. Parents got really upset. They made some noise, and the studios of whoever it was, they said, you've got to bring him back. Which I didn't find out 15 years, later I found out. But evidently that's what happened. So I said, wow, why wouldn't I know? Why wouldn't they tell you? But back in those days, you didn't have the internet. And fan mail, never got any. So how did you know? There was no way to gauge it. So, but anyway, they brought me back for 2 more shows, 2 or 3, to tell the kids that Optimus Prime was alive and well and no longer living in poverty.
Thank you.
Okay, is there an Andrew Richards here? No? Okay. All right. So, if you had the chance to voice Megatron, would you do it, or would your conscience force you to ask Frank Welker if it was okay?
Well, there's a long explanation to this that goes into my career, not based upon the Transformers, but I'll give you an example. There was an actor that was alive, and I thought, because I thought he was dead because I was auditioning for him, his character, his role that he created in a long playing album. For anybody who can remember that, you know what LPs are, long playing albums? Good. Anyway, all right. And so here I am, and I'm singing this character, and I'm talking like him, I'm doing stuff, and all that stuff, good. Anyway, so the producers and directors, they go outside the studio. I'm sitting there with the engineer, and I just squat onto the engineer table, and I say, when did such and such die? He says, oh, he's not dead. I said, what? No. They just didn't want to pay him the money, so they're bringing you in. I went, I walked out. And if Frank was to be replaced and they wanted me to do his character, I'd tell them to themselves. Frank is one of the greatest voice actors of all time. I call him the King. And we're very good friends. I ride horses, he flies planes. Frank and I will be in San Antonio, Texas in a few weeks, working for the first time together. No, not the first time together, but in a convention. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, and we actually have a couple questions that were selected from Mike Jabba. Mike, if you want to come on up.
Microphones can move.
On their own? Yes. All right. Okay, I guess just the ones that are highlighted? Okay. After a career full of more action-oriented roles, what was it like to take up the role of Eeyore with the Disney company?
Relief. I mean, Eeyore, well, I auditioned for Eeyore. There had only been one Eeyore before, and he was a cowboy. And he talked like, "My name is Eeyore. Thanks for noticing me." And it was a little too gruff. And I decided, okay, if I'm going to put my signature on this, he was gone, and God bless him. And I said, okay, and instead of going like this, "My name is Eeyore," I said, "Hello, my name is Eeyore. Thanks for noticing me." And I got the job. I did them for 17 years. And, but I'm not doing them anymore, and that's a decision made by the company that does, I can't remember. Anyway.
Thank you. And the second question I had was The Predator. You're credited as special vocalizations by Peter Cullen. How did that happen, and what was that like to do?
I had just done 11 reels of King Kong and all that stuff. And I was starting to cough up blood. And yeah, well, we call those blood throats. Hey, you slave over a hot mic, you know, you gotta put some blood out there, you know what I mean? Anyway, I went to the audition telling them that my agent, I said, "I'm not gonna do any monster sounds. I can't. My throat is really kind of burned up and I'm still coughing a little blood from King Kong." So he said, "No, they want you to come. 20th Century Fox wants you to go down there." So I drove down to 20th Century Fox, and I'm in the studio, and they want me to do a monster sound. And I said, "Well, what does he look like?" He said, "Well, we can't show you." I said, "Well, if I can't see the character, I don't know what I'm going to do. I mean, I have to have something to relate to, put myself inside it." He said, I insisted. He said, "Well, there's no point in me being here." So they showed me a silver streak. Goes across the thing. And I went, that doesn't help. So they said, okay. They disappeared for a while. And I'm in the big, big sound stage where they have done hundreds of great, great movies at 20th Century Fox. You know, you can all, the big old leather chairs behind me, and I could smell the Spencer Tracys and the Katharine Hepburns and the Humphrey Bogarts, and it was very, very intense for me. And they came back in, they said, okay, they were going to roll down to the very end of the film where the Predator takes off his headgear, and you're going to see the face and all that stuff. And when they did that, I saw this ugly, ugly face and these tentacles like going like this, and it reminded me of a upside down horseshoe crab dying in the sun on a beach when I was a kid. It was nasty. But from that horseshoe crab was coming all this crackling sounds, bubbles coming out that were bursting, you know. I can remember it. So I don't know if I can do them now, but I thought, okay. But the voice director couldn't hear what I was doing. So, but I told the sound guys, it's a big, big, big boom mic, the pencil. And when they record in a soundstage, that microphone can be right up there and they can hear everything. But how are they going to hear that? So I said, could you bring the boom down? Could you bring it down, please? I said, it's here. I said, further, 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 further. So I got it there, and I said, and the director behind me cannot hear what I'm doing. He can't hear it. And he's throwing the paper down the desk. What is going on here? Like this. And then about 10 seconds later, come up here. Come up here. You got to hear this. You got to hear this. And he's up the back staircase, and he's gone up, and you hear the slam. Then about 5 minutes later, all right, well, let's go to reel one. And that's how that happened.
All right, so next question. Is there a Ken Baumgartner here? Oh. Hot dog, we have a wiener.
All right. When looking back on their work, a lot of voice actors, they often say, you know, nobody thought that these shows would be around 3 years from now, 5 years from now, let alone 30. But when did you realize that these shows, they weren't going away? That this show that you had done, you know, 10, 15, 20 years ago had resonated and still had some legs?
Well, I think every actor does feel very, very grateful for landing a series because it could go 2 years, it could go 3 years, it could last 14 shows. And when we had gone 2 years with Transformers G1, you know, and it was still going to go, but I wasn't asked back. You know, that was all merchandising. That's all business decisions. That has nothing to do with anything. You know, they don't even, back in those days, I don't think they even judged the popularity of a character. They only judged dollars and cents and store shelf merchandise. But the idea of getting back into a series, that didn't happen until they announced that they were going to do the movie in 2006, was it? 7? And I found out they were going to do a feature film about a year and a half before that. And I said, wow. Well, I'd forgotten all about it, you know. I mean, I put it in the back of my head, a job's a job, it's gone, get on with your life, you know, and be a grunt. Well, then there was the word out, because the internet had started. And all of a sudden, there's a groundswell of a fan base. And they were injecting say, your movie will never make it unless you have Peter, Cullen, Frank Welker, you know, as Megatron and Optimus Prime. Still, that wasn't enough. And I got a phone call from my agent saying that Michael Bay wants you to come down to Santa Monica to his offices down there and to audition for the role of Optimus Prime. So I said, okay. The funny part about it was they had a scene between Ironhide and Optimus Prime. Now, Michael Bay knew nothing about the Transformers at all. I mean, well, that was at the time. That was at the time. Believe me,
Still
you know,
doesn't-
he's a fast study, and he learned a lot. Anyway, he had a young script assistant read Ironhide with Optimus Prime. And I grabbed the paper. I say, honey, I played Ironhide and Optimus Prime. I think I can do both these roles. So Michael Bay's sitting across, and I'm sitting here, and I started interacting between Optimus Prime and Ironhide. Okay, see you later. Bye, bye, bye. A few weeks later, I'm called in to audition again for Optimus Prime. They want to audition again. Meanwhile, the fan base is just like a locomotive. Boy, they're just going at it. They are just won't let go. God bless you. God bless you. I can't wipe this grin off my face. I've been grinning since I've been here. I can't stop it. I love you guys. Oh, wow.
Trying to wipe the dirt off my face.
There, see the smile?
Yeah,
Good, good smile. Did I answer that question? I'm not sure. Yeah. Anyway, I did, you know, my agent called me. I did get the job. And they were so generous. They gave me $25.60. Just kidding.
Awesome. That's great.
Thank you.
If anyone has a picture of me hugging him, you can tweet it to @CheersIan. Thank you. All right. Is there a Nicole Leardy? All right. Nicole, come on up. Either way is good.
I forgot to tell you that Andy Pessoa said hi. I am Speedy.
Yeah, I remember
But
you.
Andy Pessoa says hi.
Oh,
He said hi. So, all right. My question for you, Mr. Cullen, is do you ever have dreams where you are Optimus Prime?
I'll go for like 15 minutes.
how did that question get in there? Not that I recall. I don't think. No, I really don't. Have you ever had dreams of Optimus Prime?
I am terrified at all the people who are raising their hands.
How many?
Lift them up.
Me too.
Wow.
I see some guys there.
I don't really. No, I don't think I've ever had a dream of Optimus Prime. I've had a bad dream about not being Optimus Prime. Thanks, Speedy.
Awesome. Okay, this person was said to call them Yuki. Is there a Yuki here? September weather 921. All right, Yuki. Too bad. All right. Hi, Peter. I would like to know about how you became a voice actor and why you chose to do so. Also, the difficulties you had to overcome during your career. Thank you, smiley face.
Dear Smiley Face, I've had many obstacles to overcome. The first of which was my mouth. I had to learn how to speak. Didn't we all? But I made the decision to do voiceover after I had spent most of my life on television and or doing film and or radio. And I was raising a family on a small little ranch outside of Los Angeles. And I was going on a set and perhaps a pilot for a movie, and then that would fade away. I'd drive back to the ranch, and I was waiting for the next gig. And an agent who had been with the William Morris Agency and remembered me from the Sonny and Cher show, and had asked me to join the Sonny and, while I was on the Sonny and Cher show, asked me if I would consider becoming a voice actor. And I said, well, you know, I'm still in my on-camera stage. I was working for Wolfman Jack, Bobby Goldsboro, the Hudson Brothers, Jonathan Winters, Mac Davis, all of these shows. And then one day, I'd had enough of it, and I really just was ready. It was just ready to be plucked. And Steve Tischerman called me and said, Peter, he said, I'd like to talk to you about, you know, you giving up your on-camera acting life. And if you do, and just dedicate yourself to me and to voiceover alone, I will give you 100%. And I said, all right. And he said, well, wait a minute now. I don't want you to say yes, and then 4 months from now, you know, you're going to get a movie or something that's going to take you away for 6 months. That's no good for me. I said, Steve, if you're going to give me 100%, I'll give you 100%. And I will never cheat on that. You can trust me. And he said, okay, that's a deal. And he sent me out to auditions every day. Every day. And I just never thought it would happen. To get into cartoons was so difficult. It took 8 years to break down Hanna-Barbera before I got my foot in the door. And the first job I did with Hanna-Barbera was with Frank Welker. And if anybody here in this audience can remember a title called Mighty Man and Yuck. I was Mighty Man, Frank was Yuck.
That didn't change.
That's funny. Yeah, that was very clever. I like it. Anyway, I did stick to my guns, and eventually I landed a national television commercial for Betty Crocker snacking cakes. And it was wonderful. And then it just started. I got Mighty Man and Yuck, and then all the cartoons started coming, and there was no looking back. No looking back. Period.
Awesome. Is there a Cameron Hanzalek here? All right, doesn't look like Cameron's here, so I'll read it then. Question is, at BotCon this year, Frank Welker did his rendition of your iconic Optimus Prime voice. Would you like to respond with your rendition of Welker's Megatron voice?
Let me see now, Prime. As I see it, Prime, you don't have much behind you, do you?
I do now, Mr. Megatron.
I'm your brother.
Not anymore, you're not. That was a horrible Megatron.
Not bad.
Yeah.
It's okay. Your Optimus is better.
Thank you.
All right, next question. Is there an Angela Patterson?
Here she is.
Oh, we found her.
My question was, what part of your own personality did you bring to Optimus Prime's character?
Wow. Well, I talked about my brother Larry. Larry and I were very close, 13 months apart. We were very similar in many ways, outside of the fact that he was 5 inches taller and twice as tough. And, but we both had the same sense of humor, and we approached things very much the same way. Larry taught me so many things, but he taught me, I was more gregarious than Larry. I was very gregarious, very outgoing. I guess when you're smaller and you're 13 months, you do more things to attract attention, you know. So I was always trying to be funny. Funniest guy in school, always getting kicked out of class, you know, and all that stuff. I'm sure there's many of you in here. No. Nah, I didn't think so, yeah. Just pistols, you know, we were on fire. And so I'd say a little bit of me, but mostly Larry. Yeah. My ability to understand him allowed me to be me through him. So, yeah, did that help?
Yeah.
Thanks for asking that. Thanks. Yeah, that was a great question, too.
All right, next question is from a James O'Connor. James O'Connor, are you here? Are you James O'Connor? No? You were waving. All right. No? James isn't here? Oh, he's in the dealer room? Okay, well, here we go. I know it was a long time ago, but I've seen clips of you having voiced in the Donkey Kong cartoon show, and I was wondering if you ever had wished you had somehow had the chance to stick with those characters, considering how far it has gone.
What?
You were Super Mario.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was-
People don't realize
yeah,
that
yeah.
he was actually the very first voice of Super Mario. People don't realize.
Wow.
It was Supercade. Saturday Supercade, a very obscure show, 1982. Yeah.
Another day in the voice actor's life. Yeah. You land a character, you do it for a little while, and then you're gone. So, and none of us, I think I speak for majority of voiceover guys and gals, once the job is gone, go on to the next one. You know, you have no time to lament. You're a grunt, and you go on to the next one. That's the life of a voiceover actor. So I had no memory of it. I don't even know what he sounds like.
It was it was short. It was like, you used to do 5-minute segments. There was 13 episodes. It was like really short. I think you worked with Frank with that, actually. I think you did Donkey Kong.
I really don't. Maybe.
That's not a joke. I think you did, actually.
But it would be pretty nice if you were still the character of Mario, right? You'd probably like that, considering how big Mario is. He's really, really popular.
Oh,
Really.
okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
All right.
It's you.
Is there a Zach Bieber here? Zach Bieber? No Zach, okay. Is there a Justin Bieber here? No? Okay. Okay, the question. Throughout your career, which character or characters were the easiest to find the voice for, and which roles were the toughest to find?
Creating a cartoon character, my approach is I read what the personality is, and then I try to match that to the cartoonist's rendering. So you'll get a sketch of what the character will look like, and whether it's goofy or any number of things. And by its physical structure, will I organize the personality and the voice and the sound. So if it's a skinny character, it'll be a more skinny voice, tighter squeezed. And if it's a
bigger character and it starts to get down like this, you know. And if, oh, yeah, you can up, yeah. Oh, and in the case like, what was his name? Murky Dismal.
You evil, little Murky.
He was short and compact and, you know, squeezed into a pile of just meanie, evil kind of bad guy. I'm not lucky, but I guess, you know. And anyway, so that's how I think it came about. And then I get pictures or images in my mind of what somebody else has done in my memory bank. And I think, if I'm not mistaken on that, the #1 influence was Jackie Gleason and Reginald Van Gleason, the character from the Jackie Gleason show. Does anybody remember that? Anyway, I'm a thief. Gracias, amigo.
All right, so we're just going to get ready to wrap up for the evening. Just want to thank everyone for coming and attending, and also I just want to mention that if you guys are familiar with the charity auction last night, the silent auction is going to end at the end of this panel, and we're just below $10,000. We're at $9,670. So if we could just sell a couple of these silent auction things, and maybe if Optimus Prime could tell people to please bid, maybe.
But before you do that, Ian, I just want to make something very clear to all of you. And this is from my heart. I want you to know that there is something about the relationship between Optimus Prime, who I'm so grateful and honored to do, but between Optimus Prime and the fan base, there is a very special bond that I've become aware of over many years. And that bond is something a lot bigger than me and you. It is a sense and an understanding that happened because you understood the things that I was saying that were written by somebody else. And we share that feeling inside. And your appreciation of me is no greater or no less than my appreciation for you. That bond keeps us like this. It's not star and fandom. It's a bond of understanding. And I just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate it and I love you for it. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Peter, on behalf of the fandom, we can't thank you enough for everything you've done for us. You obviously mean a lot to a lot of people. So thank you for coming and visiting. Thank you for being a part of TFcon this year. We really, truly appreciate it. And like I said, on your way out, if you could please bid on some charity auction stuff for Make-A-Wish Canada, we would love it. Thank you so much, guys. You've been a wonderful audience. Anything else?
Oh. I don't know how many times you can say I love you before it's still love. It's always love.